We've got a big update today on the silver price, on the gold price. We want to really focus in on what's going on with big banks and big trouble with the big banks. I dug in, did some research last night, discovered some things about the banks that are downright frightening. But we know that when the economy sputters or when the economy crashes, like a lot of us think could very well be the case, that the precious metals prices, they're going to do well, right? Are there signs out there right now that there's big trouble in the economy and the banking sector that we need to talk about? Because the idea of $100 silver, I know it's preposterous, crazy to think that we could get $100 silver. I'm going to repeat that multiple times during this video today because it is a real possibility. It's something that we could see sooner than a lot of us realize. And you know, gold will be much higher at that point as well. We're looking our initial target on gold to be $2,600 per ounce because the setup now is like no other time in history. Things really are different right now, and we're going to dig into that. Remember the great financial crisis, 07, 08. Let me tell you how things played out during that time period. And yes, very shortly thereafter, we did see an all-time high for gold, and silver got up to what, $50 per ounce? Here's how that situation played out and how it's very similar to what we're dealing with right now. The first thing that happened, the first sign that there was trouble before the great financial crisis were the bank stocks going down. Then suddenly the Fed pivoted and started lowering rates. And people were like, what's going on? And the next big shoe to drop were the things like, what was it, the Shearson Lehman and the big financial companies, AI, all these massive issues unfolded that created what officially is called the Great Financial Crisis. But it's critical, basement dwellers, absolutely critical that we know that what's going on right now bears many similarities to what occurred back then. Because we dug in last night, the banks are in trouble right now, and the stock market is smart. That's the lesson that we learned from the great financial crisis. The stock market, right, that's where people put their money in. That's where the big money is. It sniffs out problems before they materialize. And that's possibly, you be the judge, but very likely what we're seeing right now. Let me just give you a rundown on some of the big banks and how their stock prices have performed over the last 2 years. Bank of America, the bellwether, right? The big one. In the last 2 years, the stock has gone from $48, $50 per share all the way to $28 per share, where it is now. You're going to see a trend developing here. Next, we'll talk about US Bank, another massive, obvious American bank. In the last 2 years, their stock has gone from around $60 down to $35 per share. I almost said per ounce. I think of everything in per ounces. Isn't that how we're supposed to think, silver and gold investors? Your stack, think of it in ounces. Just a little aside, right? We don't think of our value of our silver or gold in dollar terms, unicorn fart dust, right? Paper money. No, we think of our gold and silver in terms of ounces. But let's get back to the banks, because it does have to do with the value of those ounces that you hold. Citibank, in the last 2 years, has gone from $80 per share all the way down to $42. The previous two had gone down about 45%. Citibank is down 50% roughly in the last 2 years. Regions Bank, a little smaller bank, has gone from $25 a share down to $16. So what is that telling us? What do you think that means? Right, the stock market overall isn't doing that horribly, but the bank stocks are getting slaughtered. It's almost like they're a precious metal mining stock. Don't worry, my fellow Citibank and Bank of America investors, we know how it feels to have your stock go down by 50%. It's not a whole lot of fun, but nonetheless, what is that telling us? that's telling us there's big problems in the banking system, okay? Unrealized, unrecognized problems. It'd be like if you had a child that had an alcohol problem, that was drinking 12 beers a day. And every day you just took those 12 empty beer cans that your 19-year-old son or daughter drank and put them in a plastic bag like you get from Walmart when you check out and threw them in the trash. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. I don't see it. It's not a problem. That's exactly what the banks are doing. Let me give you some crazy, there's 4 things. There's 4. I started making the list as I dug into why the banks are in so much trouble. And don't forget, when these banks blow, that's rocket fuel time. That's $100 silver. Can you type 100 in the comments? Does anybody believe that we can see $100 silver besides me? It's only like 4 times up from here. We've had silver go up way more than that many times over the years. Who can type 100? I can't see it all. Hey, CoinShop Chris is here. Good to see you. Who else? Thank you. And while you're at it, type something nice. If you want to do something nice, what a great way to start your Monday morning. Type something nice and say thanks to the moderators. I see Jim M., our friend, is here as well. $100 silver, but there's 4. Yeah, 4 big problems and why the banks are having these problems. You know, the US Treasuries, the values are down, down, down. Now we've had a little bit of a reversal in US Treasury rates, but nonetheless at 4.5%, the banks and their US Treasury holdings, which are significant, are down 30, 40, and in some cases even 50% of the value. Yes, that's your money that you put in the bank, your money. They invested it, okay? And now it's only worth half as much. That's the reality. But it's not just US Treasuries. It's also massive holdings of, does this one sound familiar to you? You think they would have learned their lesson, right? MBS, mortgage-backed securities. Remember, that's what caused the whole great financial crisis. Well, they're sitting on billions, trillions possibly, of those as well. And those are way down in value because when mortgage rates went up to 8%, they're sitting on a bunch of mortgage-backed securities that are paying 2.5%, 3%. The value of those could have gone down even more than 50% in value. Who wants to buy a package of mortgages that are only going to pay you 2 or 3% per year? Nobody. Again, that's your money that you entrusted with Bank of America, Citibank, Regions Bank, any bank for that matter. They invested it and they didn't invest it wisely, okay? What's the third thing? You know it, commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is in big trouble in this country and the banks have big, massive loans in that sector. All of these things are going to come to fruition, guys, in the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. And when it happens, okay, don't forget, that's why we're talking about this. We just don't like to bash on banks. And we're also going to talk about the bank that failed. And we're also going to talk about big technical problem at the banks on Friday that show us the fragility of the electronic banking system. But the reason we are talking about the banks right now and their trouble is because it relates directly to the value of your silver and gold. It's the fractional reserve banking system. It's the unicorn fart dust. We can make more debt, loan money out, make a little sliver. But when the hens come home to roost, like they are right now, it's big, big trouble. What's the fourth? Okay, we talked about US Treasuries, mortgage-backed securities, commercial real estate. Big trouble for the banks. What's number 4? All the zombie companies. I did a whole series about this. It's estimated by the Federal Reserve and the International Monetary Fund or somebody that 10% of the companies in the United States are zombies. They can't afford the interest on the debt they have without taking out more debt. Okay, it'd be like you having so much credit card debt that the only way you can make your credit card payment is by borrowing more money on new credit cards. Doesn't that sound unsustainable? They're saying 10%. We know the Fed has a real talent for underestimating, looking at things in the most rosy view. Those companies, those zombies, who do they owe that money to? They owe that money to the banks. Okay? 4 areas where the banks are in big, massive trouble. I really appreciate you being here this morning. Please give this a thumbs up. That helps us get the word out to more people about what's going on. And I'm having technical problems out here on the deck. I think I'm back now. Hopefully you guys can still hear me and see me. I hope you feel like you're here with me. I love the fact that you come join me in the basement. Again, please give this a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I got bad news for you. I'm going to put out a new video every day for the rest of my life. You're going to watch me grow old, right? That's my promise. And it's not easy, let me tell you, but it's a labor of passion, and I love meeting you. I love the fact that you're here with me right now. So, the banks are in big trouble. Here's the kicker. What if people decide they want their money back? Did we see that happen earlier in March and April with Silicon Valley Bank? People decided they wanted their money back. And Silicon Valley Bank was like, sorry guys, we don't have your money. We're really sorry it played out this way. And what's crazy is that right now, that can happen in the matter of days. It's not like the old days where it took time for information to be distributed amongst people, where people would read about things in newspapers or talk to their neighbors or maybe get a phone call. Now it's all instantaneous, and what's even crazier about it is that people can actually withdraw their money instantaneously. They have apps on their phone. They can do what's called virtual bank runs, right? They can, if everybody all of a sudden realized that XYZ bank, I don't want to name any banks, doesn't have enough money to cover all the deposits and wanted their money out, and everybody goes on their app and takes it out, the bank says, force majeure, we don't have the money. And again, guys, this is the type of economic calamity that we could, if it were to happen, right? And some people might say, mathematically, when you look at all the other big macro things going on, it's almost inevitable, but nonetheless, that causes massive change in the precious metals market because people lose confidence. I don't necessarily want to see it happen. I don't think you necessarily want to see it happen, but that's the big major catalyst that we could see. And at that point, people are going to be searching for silver and searching for gold. We're going to touch on that soon. If you're searching for some silver, gold, or platinum yourself right now, before silver gets to $100 per ounce, I know I'm a pumper, okay? Say whatever you want. I believe we're going to get $100 silver. And if you want some, go check out Pimbex. They sponsor the channel. They sponsor this video. Pimbex, Pimbex.com, online bullion dealer. Check them out. That's where I've purchased silver in the past before they sponsored my channel, okay? And what you'll find is they have a great reputation, great products, great service, and the best prices. So throw them into your mix. Do your own due diligence. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't give financial advice. I tell you what I do. You need to do what you want to do. And right now, I want to have a little sip of coffee with you. Thank you for being here this morning. Let's all think of something nice and happy as I take a drink of coffee. This is great. Thank you. You're the best. Welcome to the basement, basement dweller. 140 of us out of the blue on a Monday morning of all things. But the big deal is when people go to look for the silver, if the banks get in this big trouble, don't forget we have all this national debt. We have the United States has screwed itself up. The world, when you go beyond the U.S. borders, the geopolitical situation in the world is more tenuous now than any other time. And then just internally, with what the banks have done, greed, that's what it comes down to, greed, right? Those big bankers, they didn't learn any lesson during the great financial crisis. They did it again, okay? So when people, if, I'm not absolutely going to tell you this is going to happen because as you can see, I don't have a crystal ball, but the likelihood, I believe, is very, very, let's say, possible And when people wake up and they start, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the gold price? It's going to shoot up. What's going to happen to the silver price? It's going to shoot up, okay? All the silver that would be available for the people is going to be gone because there's already such a limited, tiny little sliver, right? It's like just in time. You know that? Think about this. When it comes to the retail silver market, it's very similar to this wave that occurred over the last 20 years in the manufacturing industry called just-in-time inventory management. Ford, GM, whatever, they would get the parts delivered just in time to the assembly line for the cars to be made. The silver market, I don't know about the gold market, but the silver market feels to me like a just-in-time inventory model where there's just enough to keep, the supply is just enough to keep the demand satisfied. What do you think will happen when the other people wake up, right? Guess what? Here's the good news. Here's the good news. I want you to look yourself in the mirror right now. Stop looking at me. I apologize. Okay? Look yourself in the mirror and realize you likely already have it. If you don't, you might want to consider dollar cost average in. Buy yourself some silver. Maybe buy gold, buy platinum, whatever. Again, I want you to do your own due diligence, do your own work to decide what you think, which metal suits your needs best. Okay, supply, demand, everything's gone for the people. This is very interesting about gold. I know let's do a quick gold update this morning. I've been watching it. I've been up since 3 in the morning, guys, okay? Trying to get all this information together because I think it's so critical that we share it with each other. But the gold price has been bouncing around. It was down 5, down 10, now down 5. But there's something super interesting, fascinating going on with gold. And I read it this morning. All the other war hedges, all the other things that people pile into when there's war that breaks out have already gone back down, okay? Except the price of gold has not yet adjusted, okay, has not gone back down. It's very strange. Could it be that the other fundamental factors that we know and we've talked about are in place are supporting the gold price, right? And we know also on top of that silver has not performed. Silver has not performed. Good morning, Susie. Susie's up. Silver has not performed. Silver has not kept up with gold. So if gold, this is such a big week for the gold price in particular. I'm telling you, if we can end the week above $2,000, hey, thank you for the super chat, Alexander. That's awesome. I forget about super chats. Always appreciated, never expected. Goes a long way to help support the family and the channel. Now, if gold can get above 2,000 this week, I think that is the most bullish, the best scenario as we move into the end of the year. I'll go out on a limb. If we get gold on Friday that closes above $2,000, the spot price, we will have new all-time high in gold by Christmas. Okay? I'll come up with something I'll do. I'm not spray painting my hair red again if I'm wrong, but I'll do something else humiliating if I'm wrong about that one. If gold closes Friday above 2,000 in the spot market, we will have record all-time high gold by Christmas. It was my Christmas present to you, okay? Let's talk about the banks and this big story, okay? It was a big story on Friday. Big bank, big issue in the banks. The ACH, the direct deposit system, went down, and a lot of other content creators jumped on the story. It was like, oh, the banks are failing. The banks are, we got this banking, blah, blah, blah. We got to be careful sometimes. And not that I'm not prone to a little sensationalism, because, maybe I am, but I didn't jump on that story. I wanted to research it and tell you what happened. And there is something very scary about that, but for the most part, it's kind of a nothing burger. So the multiple U.S. banks were hit by deposit delays on Friday caused by an error at a payment processing network. According to the Federal Reserve, our old friend Jerome Powell, The clearinghouse, there was a problem, a processing error with the clearinghouse, told CNN on Saturday the issue impacted less than 1% of the daily ACH volume in the United States. ACH, I don't know what it stands for, but that's basically when you electronically move money from your bank account, like maybe to a brokerage account or to pay a bill, or direct deposits are obviously run on ACH as well. But guys, it was less than 1%, and they said they're working with the financial institutions who have customers that have been impacted. I've got another story we're going to talk about next about the banks that I think is scary on two levels. This one, not so scary, okay? But does that show us the fragility, this ACH problem, the fragility that can occur potentially within an electronic banking system? Yes, right? People didn't get their paychecks. If their boss would walked around with a paper check or even an envelope with some cash in it, they would have had their money, but they're relying on the electronic banking system. And it shows us that when the power goes out, or if there's a processing error or a cyber attack, that we can have big issues with our money or our currency, right? Unicorn fart dust. They had a unicorn fart dust transfer problem. Because that's what it was, right? The unicorn, I don't know, I won't go there. Anyway, you know, they were moving electronic money. You know, maybe they should have relied on Bitcoin. I'm sure Coin Shop Chris would be in favor of that. We know he loves Bitcoin. I'm just joking, but it shows the fragility of the system. Now, you want to hear about a big problem in the banking sector? Remember what we talked about earlier. The banks are in trouble. The stocks are down. When the banks hit the wall, baby, it's going to be go time, huh? Time to put some boots on the warehouse floor. Got it? We're going to put some boots on the warehouse floor for the gold price and the silver price. We're going to make some feathers fly. When the banks hit the wall, when the economy hits the wall, it's bound to happen. And what did we hear again late last week that tells us on two levels how big of a problem we're facing right now? Citizens Bank. This one was a big deal. This one, I think, is actually a bigger deal than a lot of the other content creators, quote unquote. I guess that's what I am. Thank you for absorbing my content today. I hope you enjoy the show. But we got a big problem that not enough people are talking about, and it's called Citizens Bank. Just a little bank that's a big deal, and here's why, okay? Big trouble in the economy, okay? But, this is from FreightWaves, and you're going to realize why I'm giving you this article from FreightWaves in just a second. It says, now the trucking bloodbath has taken down a bank. Citizens Bank of Sac City, Iowa has failed, and it appears that its exposure to commercial trucking is the cause. Citizens Bank was a small state-chartered bank. Its loan portfolio was focused on commercial and industrial loans. Focused on commercial and industrial loans. What does that tell us? Right? Does that mean that the commercial and industrial sector maybe isn't doing so well because the bank failed? Okay? That's according to the Bank Reg blog. The blog reported on November 3rd that the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, announced that Citizens Bank, a 66 million asset non-member bank, had failed. Okay, why is that a big deal? Why is that a big deal? Okay, because just like we talked about earlier, when the value of the loans go down and people want their money back, the banks don't have the money. But even more so because this bank is exposed to the trucking industry. The trucking industry is getting absolutely slaughtered. Well, big deal, Ron? You're asking, right? What's the big deal? Why does the trucking industry matter? You know, I was driving down here with my parents. My mom said, well, I see a lot of trucks on the road. I said, yeah, you see about 15% less than you did 2 years ago. Mom, that's a fact, Jack, because the trucking industry is the arteries, the blood vessels of the U.S. economy, and they're getting slaughtered. And the banks that loan them money are getting slaughtered and going down. I'm going to read a heartbreaking story. You ready to have your heart broken? You're human, I'm human, we feel for people. I have a heartbreaking story I'm going to share with you next. But first, I want to thank our other primary mining company sponsor, First Mining Gold, for their support. FFMGF is the stock symbol. If you don't know about the company, I'd recommend you go to their website, firstmininggold.com. Check them out, a gold development company. If you're not going to hold the gold or the silver in your hand, you might as well hold it buried in the best vault in the world, Mother Earth. And they've got over 13 million ounces of gold buried in the earth in Canada. They're working through the permitting process. There's a lot of big, exciting catalysts coming up for the company. They've got a great website. Go check them out. It's a stock I've owned for years, okay? I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just telling you what I own, and I've owned it for years and years before they generously sponsored the channel and made programs like this that I'm currently torturing you with possible. I do appreciate you being here. You guys are awesome. We almost got 100 thumbs up. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. I'll shake the banana peel. I used to have a hot dog, but I'm not allowed to show that anymore because my moderators cut off the hot dog. No more hot dog. You know, I barbecued a bunch of hot dogs. I actually do have a hot dog inside. Anyway, heartbreaking story. I barbecued hot dog. Let me show you this real quick. I'm going to turn you. That's the world's highest grill. It's on the 17th floor. I'm going to give you a vacation tip. Go on vacation in early November because these buildings are empty and you can get a condo for like 25% of the price you pay during the summer, and the weather's still great and there's nobody around. And I love connecting with you on this, but when I go on vacation, I don't like big crowds. Anyway, see if I can't find a hot dog for you guys in a little bit. All right, this is a sad story, so I'm not going to joke around. This one tugged at my heartstrings, and I want to see if it tugs at your heartstrings as well. Tug, tug. Oh, we got 100 thumbs up. All right, I'm going to shake the banana. I eat a banana every day. Many of you know that. There we go. Thank you. That was weird. Okay, the story's sad. This is about yellow trucking. We just talked about the trucking business, right? Banks going out of business. The truckers are dying. Truckers are the artery. They move. They are the, what are those things called? Escalators. They're the elevators of the world. They move everything around. It all relies on trucking. And trucking is dying in this country. I have contacts, executives at big worldwide logistic companies. This is real. What did we just hear last week? Maersk, M-A-E-R-S-K, laying off 10,000. No, not 10,000 employees. They do shipping all over the world. But this broke my heart. Yellow Trucking, it's a story we covered a lot, but they were a 100-year-old company. They were like the place to work for a lot of truckers. And wait till you hear this. It really tugged at my heartstrings. The largest freight bankruptcy in history punched a $5 billion hole in the economy, cost 30,000 jobs, and left the taxpayer holding the bag for a big COVID bailout. Here, listen to this guy, Manuel Gomez. This is sad. I hope I don't tear up here, guys. Manuel Gomez had wanted to work for trucking giant Yellow for years. So when the call came in 2013, he hustled for 2 days to pass his hazardous material certifications and got hired. Ecstatic at the thought that he had won his forever job. He thought he had his forever job. He says, quote, "I was back on track with my bills," the 45-year-old trucker told, this is from Fortune magazine. "It was a union job. So long as you did your job, you didn't have anything to worry about." People have jobs. People out there, I'm telling you, they don't realize, right? Your job, my job, I have a little job at night. I work for a university. It's one day at a time, right? It is really one day at a time. The rug can get pulled, right, like nothing. That's why if you can, you want to be out of debt. You want to keep your bills at a minimum. It's real, guys. And if things get, this is, think about this. This just hit me. And we're going to finish Manuel's story. And it is heartbreaking. If things are this difficult right now, and we are in supposedly what they're telling us are the good times, Bidenomics is working, okay? And this is the good times. Imagine what it could get like if things get rough. Think about it, huh? Think about it. Okay. Manuel, let's get back to him. It's sad. When Yellow abruptly shut down this summer and filed for bankruptcy protection, leaving Gomez and 30,000 more workers jobless, he said he didn't get so much as a text message. It was a total shock, he said. You don't think a multi-million-dollar company is just going to one day close their doors. Didn't even send a letter. Didn't even send a text message, okay? Now, he says, I'm going to have to keep working for the rest of my life. Gomez, who's now living on unemployment pay, said he hasn't come close to replacing his work at Yellow. Despite widespread reports of a shortage of good truckers in the freight sector, the backbone of the American consumer economy, remember that, the trucking sector, the backbone, the arteries of the U.S. consumer economy. At Yellow, he was earning $92,000 per year, but the only thing he comes close to getting now is an independent contractor status, essentially renting a truck from his employer, on the hook for high taxes and any liability incurred on the job. It is bad out there. I feel for this guy. Do you feel for this guy? These people are just going to work every day. They just want to pay their bills. They want to contribute to the system. And thanks to a bunch of greedy, high-level bankers and politicians, right? The American middle class, like Mr. Gomez, Manuel Gomez, is getting decimated. Our hearts go out to Manuel, right? I mean, really, we don't want the silver price and gold price to go up on the backs of war or layoffs, but we've got to be realist, and that's what's happening right now. Is it scary? Is it sad? You're darn tootin', right? Do we like it? Did I tear up last night when I read that? Yeah, right, I did, because I feel for this guy. He's probably got some kids, probably wants to, a better life for his kids. And because of situations unfolding the way they are, now he's stuck living on unemployment. Don't forget, guys, also, we talked about this last night. You can go back and watch that. But Berkshire Hathaway has a record amount of cash on the books right now. That's Warren Buffett's company. He's a strategic investor. He's the one who says you invest when there's blood in the streets. The fact that he's raising a record amount of cash shows that what he foresees is blood in the streets. They even indicated that in their most recent earnings release, that things are dicey out there. But the interesting thing about Warren Buffett, right, there's blood in the streets. We know there's even more blood in the streets in the precious metal sector. Warren Buffett has bought silver before, okay? He did. Look it up. Warren Buffett, 3 summers ago, hey, thank you, Steph. Wow. Thank you so much for the super chat. Super appreciated. Warren Buffett also bought Barrick gold mining stock 3 years ago. It was a big deal. It was right around the peak of the gold price. But if he's looking for value, right, we know the gold miners are on his radar screen, right? They don't fall off after 3 years. There's no better value right now anywhere than gold miners. And silver miners as well, if we get a big move by Berkshire Hathaway into the precious metals mining sector, watch out, baby. That could be, you think the Costco thing created a lot of furor? And I told you, I warned you that was the beginning. They just turned on the crock pot. It's a slow cooker, right? Warren Buffett buying gold and silver mining companies has the potential to be like putting the precious metal sector into a high-powered microwave oven, okay? What's interesting, just to show you how down we are, and we're surviving, guys, we're surviving, we're great. The Toronto Stock Exchange has had 1 IPO this year. The Toronto Stock Exchange is where all the gold and silver mining companies are traded and primarily listed. We are making it through what is the darkest period possibly in history. Thanks again, Steph, for that super chat. Super appreciated. the darkest period in history, in my opinion, for the precious metals. Whether you're talking about physical silver, physical gold, gold mining stocks, silver mining stocks, or if you're talking about platinum as well, I don't care. Trying to see who's on here. Okay, guys, do me a favor, huh? Type 5 to say thank you to all the moderators, because they generously give a lot of their time to make these live stream events enjoyable for everybody. Because every once in a while we get somebody who says something that's a little out of place. So thank you to the moderators. They're doing a great job and a big part of the community. Don't forget www.ronsbasement.com. There's actually a picture of me up there now. If you want to torture yourself, go check that out. But in a couple weeks, we are going to have this awesome community where you can go 24 hours a day. The basement will be open 24 hours a day, and you'll be able to connect with other basement dwellers, other people that like to talk about silver and gold, or whatever you guys want to talk about, okay? It'll be a great place, and I'm excited for that, to see how that rolls out. And we're going to do another giveaway in conjunction with that on Christmas Eve. We'll talk more about that in the future. For now, we've got a big giveaway on Black Friday. That would be November 24th. There's a link in this video and every video I put out where you can go and register for the Black Friday giveaway. Over 20 ounces. Our friend Jim M., who I know is on here helping out, really started that off. Everything starts with you guys. Think about, I want to talk about this briefly. That's why it's a community, right? I was at my daughter's softball game, and I got a text, and I called this guy, Jim, and I'm like, he's like, I want to donate some silver to you to use for a giveaway. And I said, you know what, that's a great idea. And then I thought, we'll do it on Black Friday. And then other people donated. But Jim M., so you guys can say thanks to Jim M. right now, because he's in here, for contributing not just his time, but also silver for the big Black Friday giveaway, okay? I'm not done yet. We're not done. We're not done. We're not done. We're not done. Well, up. Here, read this. I'm going to read this. Canada's largest stock exchange, the TSX, that's where all the gold companies trade, okay, is in the midst of a historic dry spell for initial public offerings. Historic. We also know that the volume, the number of shares trading hands, historic lows. Historic. Guys, we are making it through the drought, the desert, the hurricane, the horrible time. I know all of us have challenges, many different areas. We all have challenges, many different areas of our lives. I didn't sleep good last night. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning. We're surviving, okay? But we're making it through, when it comes to the silver and gold sector, a historic, challenging time, all right? It's unlikely to improve anytime soon. Just one company completed an IPO this year on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And without any last-minute surprises, it will be the first time this has happened since 1993. All right, guys, thanks for joining me, okay? I'll do my best to be back tomorrow. Be good to yourself, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you. Yes, you. There's only one you. And it's a big deal you're here, and I hope you have a good day and can do a few nice things for yourself and some other people as well. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you soon.